Red Army, you're red and you're ready. Put your hands together as we welcome Dr. Denise Tsoiafatt-Angus.
Oh, PNM coming. PNM coming.
Red Army, how are you? You ready? Yes. Brothers and sisters, a few months ago, I became very despondent. Despondent with the level of undermining of the Tobago House of Assembly by our very own representatives from Tobago under the banner of the Tobago Organization of the People and their UNC masters. I was ashamed of my country with the level of corruption and other allegations that were carried in regional news and by the international media. I, like many of you, could not wait for the date to be called. I began to have hope when the candidates were chosen. But I must admit that after that overwhelming launch on Sunday, I was not just ready to kick off a campaign, I was ready to vote. On Sunday, as I stood and listened, mesmerized by the speeches and tantalized by the politics in song and dance, I felt proud. I felt proud as a woman that two women, young women, had the courage to offer themselves for service. I felt proud that this party called the People's National Movement had the courage to choose two women to go forward for service. Service at a time where personal vilification, lies, innuendos, and threats have replaced the issues of national importance and mandates on the political platform. And therefore, while we admire their courage, I want you all to understand that it is not courage alone that will get them there. Courage can only be sustainable with your support. I therefore call on all PNM women, all women well-wishers, to cover these two young women with your prayers. Cover them with your support. And please, a kind word goes a long way in giving them the strength to continue. They are the future, the pride and promise for all of us here in Tobago. Brothers and sisters, I felt proud as a Tobagonian to know that they have come from the bosom of Tobago women and brought up by good Tobago families, one by the Cudjos in Bethel, the other by the Websters in Roxborough. And after a good Tobago schooling, both of them went abroad to improve on a foundation that was already solid for them. But more than that, they returned home ready to serve and with youth on their side. Unlike others, they did not suddenly decide to run home to the perceived glamour and glitz of a possibility in politics. They returned to work with their people in communities, as with Ayanna Webster Roy, who has worked with community development and on the ground throughout communities across Tobago, empowering people and transforming communities. And for Shamfa Cudjo, who has worked for a number of years with the YES program, empowering young people and giving them new skills so they can have better job opportunities. Please, show them how proud you are. It is only after coming home and entrenching themselves in the work, appreciating the development that has occurred over the years right here in Tobago, having an understanding of what the work of what further work has to be done. It is only then that they felt they were equipped to offer themselves courageously for expanded service on your behalf. On Sunday, I felt proud when they articulated the values and principles that have gone missing in the last 5 years. Values that Tobagonians hold dear: integrity, trust, decency, and sincerity. And that is what we got when they stood there and articulated their vision and their commitment on Sunday. Did you feel proud of them, Remami? I felt proud this time around as a Tobagonian of the men of stature who stood beside them on that platform. Visionary, resilient men. And as Dr. Mack would say, are we boys? Are we Tobago boys? Chief Secretary over London in Tobago, and the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. They, without a doubt, represented the same values that we could all be proud of. Brothers and sisters, we are at the midpoint of celebrating our freedom and emancipation and celebrating our independence as a country, and shortly after, in September, our Republican status. Let us not forget, but take pride in the fact that it is the people's national movement with the people of this country that created those legacies. Under the leadership of Dr. Eric Williams and subsequent leaders in the People's National Movement, our freedom was redefined to remove the chains of restricted education for a few, to free education for all. The chains of restricted access to education, chains that were replaced by GATE, YTEP, and MUST. Chains of being a small island country with no voice that was removed when we became a recognized competitor in the international energy sector. And therefore on Sunday, I felt proud to be a member of the People's National Movement. An organization whose policies and principles have given us an unprecedented rate of development that far surpasses any government to date. In Tobago, over the last decade, right-minded and honest people will tell you that their quality of living has improved. And if they are not willing to admit it, you just take a drive along any of our roads in Tobago and see the size of the homes that are being built and the cars that are passing you by on the roads. The last global recession was the worst in international history. Ask the banks right here in Tobago and they will tell you that people in Tobago continue to build big houses and buy cars without concern. And that says a lot for our economic stability. Let us not forget that with the limited funding from central government, that under the astute management, the leadership of London, that we were able to provide quality roadways, the Scarborough Library, the Shore Park Complex, and many other projects, the Kendall Aquatic Center. But we cannot continue with this unpredictable rate of development, and therefore we look to the new team to bring us that relief. Soon, brothers and sisters, we will not only have one, but two visionary leaders that we can be proud of at the helm of this country. Dr. Keith Rowley is the man that will set us back on track. I feel proud because the man with the plan is ready. The pain we have experienced as citizens of this country at the hands of the most devious, the most wicked, and the most corrupt government to ever see the doors of cabinet, that pain will soon be gone. The man is ready. The party of stability and integrity is ready. And after Sunday, I see that the Red Army is ready. Brothers and sisters, it is time to remove the shackles of inequity experienced at all levels over the past 5 years. The inequity that exists between Trinidad and Tobago. Inequity that results in a slower rate of development than what obtains in Tobago. That is why I feel confident that this is the team to address those inequities. All of them articulated their passion and commitment to address Tobago's burning desires for greater autonomy. A desire that was treated with scant courtesy by the representatives of the Tobago Organization of the People and members of the Tobago Forwards. Let us not forget that the leader of the Tobago Forwards led the constitutional meetings prior to her going into office. Nothing became of them except a bill that they wanted to fool us with. And that is why we have bright people on our side. People who are willing to examine every single detail, read the fine print, and protect our rights here in Tobago. But it was no need that. There is a long list that they did not deliver, including a predictable funding to this assembly, such that we can continue the development throughout communities like this. As long as we have that funding, we would have a more predictable rate of development and a faster rate of development. Until such time, let us make sure September 7th is that time that gives us the opportunity to do so. Brothers and sisters, Shamfa Cudjoe understands the mandate. Ayanna Webster Roy understands the mandate. Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley understands the mandate. They have all clearly articulated their commitment to getting it done and getting it done as a priority after September the 7th. However, you have a responsibility. It is your job to ensure that they indeed get the opportunity to do the job by delivering on Ayanna Webster Roy in the East and Shamfa Cudjoe in Tobago West. But we are not just looking for a win. We are looking for leverage. We have to give Dr. Rowley leverage. And that leverage is that we will have an overwhelming turnout in the East and in the West. An overwhelming turnout that will result in such licks that those organizations will never forget. They will not recover. And therefore, when Dr. Rowley goes to the cabinet, he could say, Tobago spoke to me loudly, and I have to listen. And therefore, it is up to you now that as we celebrate on the night of September 7th, we will preface it by saying, Dr. Rowley, Tobago has spoken, and great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM, and we have prevailed. Thank you.